Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Tired.
Happy Monday, all you minties. Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today I'm going to be giving you my advanced look at the Mighty Thor Omnibus Volume 5 from Marvel Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. Before going any further, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advance copy of this omnibus. This omnibus is due out in the direct market and book market on September 9th or 10th, depending on where you get your books. What we are looking at here is the direct market cover. This is the one that is supplied by Big John Buscema. On the left-hand side is your standard edition cover, and that is the one that is supplied by Gil Kane. And yes, there is a difference, not just on the covers, but also the spines. The image on the spine is also different. But everything underneath the dust jacket is the same, so let's bring it back to this. And here we have some of our key players. Well, for a very long cosmic journey that happens towards the later part of this Omni. But we do have Thor there. And even the recorder, set 211, I think? And some classic Asgardians here. Even an immortal can die, the Mighty Thor. It's covered at 262. Let's look at the spine. Marvel Omnibus, Mighty Thor. And you have Conway, Wein, and J. Buscema. And then W. Simonson. Who could that be? Then that image there. And the back of the book. Lift Mjolnir high in hell. Marvel's legendary God of Thunder, the Mighty Thor. So here you have like the thumbnail size covers of, I want to say this is most of the covers that are collected in here, or the issues collected in here. The retail price, $125. And let's look underneath the dust jacket. Actually, let's look at our flaps. From mythic team-ups to cosmic sagas, the Mighty Thor is where legends come alive. And bio on the creators like Gerry Conway and Len Wein and John Buscema and Walter Simonson. And underneath the dust jacket, we have the classic look, logo right there, the spine of the book. This is the image that they use for the standard edition version, volume 5, and then the back. Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. That's how it all began. Now, of course, the next book after this will be the Walter Simonson Omnibus, if you're collecting them in omnibus formats. We still have a while to go, about 5 more years in between this, 4.5 years in between this Omni and that Omni. So we still have future volumes of this era to collect. So let's go ahead and open it up and talk about the stories found in here. And look at this artwork. Oh, and it's so stunning. And look at the extras. Let's go ahead and get this big book opened. We have your end sheets here. The Mighty Thor, Volume 5, what it collects, and of course the top billing, Gerry Conway, Len Wein, John Buscema, Walter Simonson. This guy right here, Hercules, playing a big part towards the beginning and then towards the end of the book. And more of the credits here, including people like Roy Thomas and Bill Mantlo, David Anthony Kraft, and then your pencilers like Big John Buscema, Walter Simonson, Rich Buckler, who actually kicks off this run, or this Omni right here, Sal Buscema, Pablo Marcos, just to name a few, inkers and finishers like Chick Stone and Joe Sinnott, Dick Giordano, Klaus Janson, but Tony DeZuniga teaming up with Big John Buscema and Walter Simonson. Oh my gosh. Plus Ernie Chan. Oh, forget it, man. That is a match made in heaven. Lettering over here, you have John Costanza, Charlotte Jeter, Art Simek, Joe Rosen, just to name a few, and your colorists like Linda Lessman, Stan Goldberg, Petra Goldberg, Phil Richardson, just to name a few of the colorists. Table of contents right here. And I think for this one, it's okay to read the introductions. I think it doesn't really spoil anything. This book collects the Mighty Thor issues 229 to 266, the Mighty Thor annuals 5 and 6, Marvel Premiere number 26, and Marvel Spotlight number 30. The book has a total of 904 pages and retails for $125. I really like this introduction right here by Gerry Conway, talking about the past as a foreign country. And just talking about how much time has passed since he wrote the story. So he honestly can't remember some of the things that happened, how the stories happened. I really like that, like the honesty behind that introduction. But he could tell you a little bit of the behind the scenes and some of the creators that he was working on. And also, I think one of my favorite things about this introduction right here is when he was 21 years old and got hired to write The Mighty Thor, how he was full of piss and vinegar. And he's like, I have no idea what that means, but it's something people used to say. And there's another saying that he was quoting back here. Oh, I wish I could find it. He goes through like these old sayings. He's like, I don't know if people still say that or not. I really don't know what it meant. But to be that young and cocky is what he was talking about. He's about to get married, and that's how he ended up getting the job. So in here, yes, we do have this issue right here that kicks it all off, 229 to 230. It's kind of the first two issues that are done by Rich Buckler. Actually, no, it's not kind of. It's the story of the fear. And it's a lot different than what is to come later on. Definitely has that Jack Kirby finish to it that Joe Sinnott always gave a lot of his pencilers. But yes, it is a team up between Hercules and Thor for this two issues. And I'm not going to go through every issue. I know people sometimes are like, hey, you didn't talk about a certain issue. I try not to talk about every issue, but sometimes it's difficult, especially when I just reread something and I just want to maybe chime in on a couple things here and there. For example, like here is the beginning of the John Buscema era of Thor, and oh my gosh, to me he kind of felt like he was at home. Like, I know that he drew and absolutely loved doing Conan, but I think to me the Thor is a character that is as close to Conan as you're going to get for Marvel superheroes. One of the other things that is very important to note is that during this time we do have the Return of Firelord, which of course Gerry Conway created, so he's bringing him back. Whenever we had like the introductions of the Mighty Thor, like giving you a recap of who he is, you were told that it's Dr. Donald Blake. When he hits the staff, he becomes the Thor. But a lot of that stuff got thrown away. Letter pages intact, and not thrown away, it's just due to the story evolving. But a lot of those things you're not going to see in here. You're going to see less and less of Dr. Donald Blake. What you are going to see is the return of Jane Foster through these pages. This issue right here is the team up with Firelord right here, and again, Big John drawing these particular issues. And Loki always getting involved one way or another. And we still have... we got a little bit to go before we get to the Tales of Asgard. And we continue these stories that introduce these characters and brings back a lot of the classic characters like Crusher Creel here. The Absorbing Man coming back for this issue. But this arc right here introduces us to this character named Camotharn. And he's got this rune staff. And again, during this time, Hercules playing a big part in this story. And one of the things that you're going to see is also the return of Jane Foster, as I mentioned, playing a bigger part, more of like his romantic partner, if you will. And from time to time, you will see Donald Blake appear. But it seems like the writers and editors of the time were trying to get rid of that persona and just focus on Thor. This is the Ulik the Unchained story, where it's the Night of the Troll. And I love the designs that Big John does for some of these stories in here, for some of the characters that we're going to see in these stories. But let me actually get to some more of these pages. This, again, Joe Sinnott doing a lot of the finishes here. And eventually what happens is Hercules will end up leaving the book, and it'll just be focusing on Thor and the Warriors 3 and Jane Foster and Lady Sif and Odin. Now, something big is about to happen, though, where Odin will... he'll be going away for a while. So here comes Len Wein. This is his introduction right here. Talking about these particular stories and talking about the evolution, again, of writing the character. Because Thor, by this point, did not have that Donald Blake persona. That was just a ruse by, or I guess a trick by Odin as a punishment that there never was a Donald Blake that had existed. So it's just now Thor. And when he goes back to Earth from time to time, he does have that Donald Blake persona. This, to me, is just such a cool story because it's the return of a character I didn't see coming, but it's a fight with the Servitor, and then it turns out that it's Zarko, the Tomorrow Man, that was behind a lot of the things here. And the Time Tyrant is back, right? This time, though, he claims to be on the good side. He's not here looking for a fight. He's looking for heroes to help stop these entities from traveling back in time. And it's a time travel story where the character of Zarko, the Tomorrow Man, needs help. And it's these creatures known as the Time Twisters. And they're the ones that are causing all the havoc and all these issues. They're kind of creepy. Yeah, these guys right here are kind of creepy looking. I like those designs. Again, Big John getting really creative with these particular stories. And now you're not going to see Hercules. You're going to see more of the Asgardian characters like the Warriors 3 and Lady Sif. And returning characters too. This is, I think, Firelord? Yeah, this is Firelord where he helps Thor fight against this tyrant. This seemed to be a very popular thing where we have like a Latin American country and it's being run down by a dictator. This guy's name is El Lobo, and this is all taking place in Costa Verde. And Thor and Firelord get lured into helping the people down there and liberating them. In between issues, we do have the Marvel Spotlight right here that focuses on the Warriors 3. So you have the story of Volstagg, Hogun, and Fandral here. And in an introduction by Len Wein, I didn't know this, but like who these characters... I knew Errol Flynn, of course, for Fandral, but Hogun and Heimdall, who they're based on, like real people, I didn't know. Or Shakespearean people. But I didn't know that. I think I just learned by reading that particular introduction. This issue right here, 248, 249, they're starting up this big anniversary issue that is going to be 250. So they're building up the plot to this big issue that is going to be 250. By now, Tony DeZuniga is doing the finishes and the inks, but it is also the return of Mangog. And one of the most important things that happens in these issues and this fight is they do away with the character of Odin for a while. So Thor decides, okay, I need to go and find my father no matter where he is. So one of the first places he goes to Hela, but he isn't there. So the whole remaining of this Omni, with the exceptions of those annuals, is the search for Odin. Honestly, this is probably what this omnibus could have been called, is the search for Odin. Tales of Asgard does make a comeback by now, and he is teaming up with characters like Ulik to go and try to find his dad. This is a reprint right here of issue 159. This is Mighty Thor 254, but they just give you the cover. They don't give you the actual reprint because they think, hey, if you already have the Omnis, you already have that issue collected. Now we get to the era of Walter Simonson, with still Len Wein writing the stories. But the era of Walter Simonson is so different and unique. We even get some of his sketches, and right here, him channeling that Vince Colletta inks right there. Now, he doesn't start it off. Like, we still have a little bit of Tony DeZuniga, and we still have a little bit of Big John Buscema. There's the Recorder 211. Making an appearance here. So yes, now we're going to the Cosmos to try to find Odin, because he wasn't in Hell, he wasn't in Midgard. Where is he? One of my favorite things about the introduction, by the way, from Len Wein is he was like, reading the letter pages, which intact in every one of these issues, and fans were complaining that they were really tired of Jane Foster and being his romantic partner. She's boring, get rid of her. So he changed something, and I don't want to spoil what happens in case you haven't read these issues. It's another classic John Buscema before we get to the Walter Simonson stuff. And the Return of the Grey Gargoyle in space. But when he got rid of her, quote unquote. And he made Lady Sif a bigger player because people were complaining that he should be with his one true love, Lady Sif. A few months goes by, and letters started coming in that he should get rid of Lady Sif. She's really boring, and he should be with his one true love, Jane Foster. What he realized is that the same people complaining about Jane Foster were now complaining about Lady Sif, and he said that was the first and last time he wanted to satisfy his readers. He was listening to the readers because he came to realize that fans of these books have no idea what they want. So he was going to tell his story and just keep going. And I think that is something very, very, it is a lesson to learn for new writers because now we don't really have letter pages. I don't know. Do we still have letter pages? I don't get single issues, so I don't know. But I tell you what we do have is social media, where we have fans speaking very loudly, as fans tend to do, when they don't like something. And what ends up happening is some of the writers, I think, yeah, they actually listen to some of the readers and fans. But I wish more of them would just ignore that stuff and just go back to telling stories. Just like Len Wein learned the hard way. This is the very first Walter Simonson issue right here. Ironically enough, with the Executioner, because I love that story. And we do have the Queen, or the Norn Queen, back during the story. And also Balder. One of the things that you're going to see when Walter Simonson takes over, and you can see this in his introduction, how he talks about it, is that instead of going and trying to mimic, let me get to Big John, the Big John art style that he set, he wanted to actually go back and try to mimic the Jack Kirby type of art style, which he was doing in his college years. I love reading the introductions. Again, none of the introductions are going to spoil anything in these particular stories. Hey, this is the cover. But now, yes, we are searching for Odin. He's up in space. We have Walter Simonson taking over art duties. Tony DeZuniga inking some of his stuff. Joe Sinnott coming in and inking some of his stuff. I think Ernie Chan actually inks some of his stuff in here too. But eventually, of course, do they find Odin? Yeah, sure. And there's a big battle with Loki. This is a big, long arc. Not only do you have returning characters like the Absorbing Man or characters like Ulik the Troll, but also characters like Grey Gargoyle and the Destroyer right here. And this is from the annual right here. The annual is drawn by Big John Buscema, and I think this one is written by Steve Englehart. Steve Englehart did this 5th issue, and it focuses on Hercules versus Thor for a different reason. Now, I kind of skipped it, but I wanted to come back to it because this right here, this is what Big John was so good at. That there's nothing I can say that will make this picture better. As a matter of fact, I need to stop talking because it's going to make this experience worse. Very Jack Kirby-ish, right? Including this guy looking at you. Very Fourth World. But, man, Big John. Guy was a freaking beast. And then we get the next issue right here. This is the next annual. So, annuals 5 and 6 are mapped after the big story of let's go look for Odin in hell and on Earth and in space. Because it would have broken up the flow of those stories. So they kept them in the back. So the first one's with Hercules, the fight against Hercules. And this one here is the team up with the Guardians of the Galaxy. And who is that Korvac guy? And then we have the Marvel premiere issue back here. This is written by Bill Mantlo, George Tuska doing the artwork, and this, of course, focusing on Hercules. Here, it's a short issue, and then in the back we do have the extras right here, including the Treasury edition, which reprinted back issues, the Marvel calendar. I think we have an index too, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Marvel Comics Index number 5, that freaking awesome cover by Tim Conrad, and then the front piece by Frane Reyes, and original art right here from Gil Kane, Jack Kirby, the cover layout by Gil Kane, Big John Buscema's original art here with Tony DeZuniga doing the inks, the Mighty Thor 253 cover production photostat featuring Jack Kirby, original rendering of Thor's face before the alterations by John Romita, which they had to keep that in-house style look. So even DC Comics did that. They went and redrew Superman's face that Jack Kirby did. So let's look at what it looks like here. So again, you have the Kirby-ish finish to Ulick's face and the trolls, but Thor's face changed from Jack Kirby's face to John Romita, keeping that in-house style look going. Gosh, that is a beautiful piece right here. The internal page and that double page spread, man, to own that. And then this is this is after the alterations right there by John Romita. Breakdowns by Walter Simonson. And then the finished piece right here with the inks by Joe Sinnott. And the internal pages. I'm so glad they had this here, because this to me reminded me of so much Kirby influence. Sketches and layouts. The breakdowns. And then the original art here from Walter Simonson, Tony DeZuniga, Loki and Enchantress, and the Executioner. Yeah, up until like these moments, we were still having this intro. When lame Dr. Donald Blake strikes his wooden walking stick upon ground, it becomes the mystic mallet Mjolnir, and it becomes Thor. But he wasn't really doing that during this time. He wasn't Donald Blake. Then there wasn't a limit to like 60 seconds of him letting go of his hammer and becoming Donald Blake again. I love that they have the pencil breakdowns and then the finish inks. And then the end sheet. So let's look at the binding quick. The book has a total of 904 pages, sewn binding, and printed at the iMac printer. So let's go back here where we can see a little bit of bleed through happening. Thicker paper stock than what they used to use, honestly. Thicker paper stock than just like from 2 years ago. It almost feels as thick as the Donnelly printer. Okay, now what I want to do is look at the gutter loss. Of course I wanted to come back to this piece. It's just so badass. And here you can see just a little bit of the bleed through happening from the opposite side on the whites. And not really here, but on the lighter colors you can see, maybe you can see some of the frame here. But there is a just minor gutter loss. Again, that eye reminds me of a Donnelly eye. The iMac printer used to have smaller eyes. But that is it. That is the Mighty Thor Omnibus Volume 5. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors. BD Cosmos, the Canadian leader in graphic novels. They have a physical storefront in Montreal, Quebec, and their website, bdcosmos.com, offers 25% off your order of over $99 or more, and free shipping everywhere in Canada for every order of $250 or more.
Their shipping care is exceptional. Your books will stay cozy through the rough Canadian weather and arrive to you in near mint condition.
After checkout, let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way, and you'll be added to the monthly $25 gift card raffle. Entries are valid for new and returning customers.
Don't be afraid to call or email them. Ask them questions. Their staff is always happy to help guide you towards the right purchase. Visit their website, bdcosmos.com, for more. BD Cosmos, with rewards and raffles taking care of customers in Canada. Eh?
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this book. In the comments down below, let me know if you plan on picking it up, if you have the previous volumes, if you're hoping for a reprint of volumes 2 and 3, I think that's the ones we need, or if you're just continuing these stories because you love Thor and you have them in epic format or Masterworks and this is the one that you need. But that is it, everybody. Let me know if you also want another era of Thor collected in Omni format, whether it's the Tom DeFalco era, or even some of the, oh my gosh, no, they've done an amazing job of collecting Thor in the modern era. That's crazy to think about. Yeah, oh, sorry, but that's it, everybody. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.